Are there any other browser abstraction is a pretty easy, simple topic. Is there any questions about that? Support?
Can you also include, I know you noticed you execute 3 separate tests across 3 separate browsers. If I wanted to execute one test and just tell it to hit all the browsers, is that something within this release?
Yeah, so basically what you just saw was executing the same test against the 3 different browsers, but what you're saying is you would just need to swap out your configuration file for the test list, right? We don't have a way right now just to say, oh, when you execute this test, go ahead and launch against all 3. That's a great feature suggestion. But right now you just swap out the configuration file for that test list and then it does the execution.
How it works with version IE7, IE8 or
okay, the versions, yeah, so IE6 and above, Firefox 2.0 and above, Safari, I'm not very familiar with Safari's versions, but we support the past couple of releases and everything up to the most current. So we're constantly making any tweaks. I mean, one of the big things that we try to do for WebUI Test Studio is we're always maintaining, that's why we have Silverlight support, because we're always trying to maintain the latest and greatest technology. So as soon as a new browser comes out, we definitely jump on it, make sure it's ready to go, and support it. So for the next topic, let's talk about QA and dev collaboration. One of the big things we've done, and actually I should step back, WebUI Test Studio actually started off just in Visual Studio. So we actually added a native test type to Visual Studio that was, just like Visual Studio's unit test. You can participate within test lists, check into Team Foundation Server, source control, and execute. What we really wanted to do, and why we're here at STAREAST, is take that software, make it a completely standalone, but allow for you to be as productive as you were in Visual Studio, make the presentation more QA, quality, QA professional oriented, so that you're not having to worry about Visual Studio, a million windows you've never even looked at, right? And so, but still facilitate the collaboration between both sides. Whether that's, so in standalone, you can actually create a test, you can check that into source control, and then your dev on the other side, if you have a separate dev team, can actually check that back out and see the same things you can see, but in their own environment. So it's really about building your own specialized environment for each team and what they want to do with that. So you can, we've got the common recorder, create and open the same tests. Say you want to have your test, your developer kind of go and modify the test with some code, add a code and step. They can actually check it out, add a code and step, check it back in, and then that will be reflected after you get latest in the QA edition. So really allowing that seamless collaboration. So let me go ahead and show some of those features. So say we go back to our project level. So not only can we connect to Team Foundation Server, which is the source control, and check our project in, we can also open a project that already lives in Visual Studio. So whether the QA or the dev side created that project, you can open them up in either version or check in changes to either version. So it's complete two-way collaboration. One of the other features is you can come over here and say export to Visual Studio. So whether you're using 2008, 2010, you can just click here, click OK, and then it'll ask you if you want to launch it. So you could actually, if you're using a different source control, check it in, and then your developers can still have access to it wherever code repository they're using. So, and I'm not going to show too much Visual Studio, it's like gnats all over this place. I'm actually going to just open up one of these tests just so you can kind of see similarities of some of the user interface. So this was actually within a test project type within Visual Studio. So you can come back over here, you still get the same storyboard view, you have all your steps, you have built-in data, and then of course your Element Explorer, which we'll talk about in the QA edition here in just a moment. So let me just close back out of here. And then you can do quick execution or also use Visual Studio's execution model within Visual Studio. And so that's kind of an outline of all of the major features. Actually, did I skip over Silverlight? Yes, I did. Let's go back and do some Silverlight. Okay, so let's talk about Silverlight a little bit. So Silverlight, of course, for those of you that aren't familiar, is basically an in-browser application. So it gives you the ability to use a managed code application written in a managed language within the browser. So it's kind of to be more developer-friendly than, say, like Flash or even Flex. Well, Flex is kind of the competitor equivalent. But it's kind of, do the same richness of the user interface within Flash, but actually do that within managed code within your environment. So let's actually take a look at some of the challenges that this does prevent now that you're in the browser. So let's open up just a test, figure it out. We'll launch our browser again. So for this one, I'm going to go to the Silverlight control samples page so that you can kind of see. Now, this whole page is a Silverlight application. You can see that if I right mouse click, you can see that it's the whole plugin. So let's actually, I'm going to keep recording clicks. So let's go to, say, their calendar control. Now, one of the big problems with Silverlight is that it's extremely hierarchical and complex. Where in HTML, there's like, several different elements. There's buttons, text boxes, check boxes, combo boxes. In Silverlight, each control is made up of all the smaller atomic controls. So the hierarchy gets very, very complex. You don't know where one control starts sometimes and where one control ends. So let's actually go and take a look at some of the hierarchy. So if I turn on my overlay surface, and we come through here, one thing you'll notice is we're actually doing multiple layer highlighting. So as I go up, you'll not only see our original nub, but you'll also see some other ones. And what these represent are the different control layers of this. So this calendar drop selection box actually has a text box, and then it goes up, and it has the individual parts of it. So you'll see here that this represents the date picker text box. This is actually the individual element inside here. But as we go up, we can actually go all the way up to the tab control, which is this outer one. There's only one tab in here. But the great thing about this is it allows you to really put into context what you care about, right? And so our verifications at that point are specific to that part of the control, rather than just some specific element that's part of it. So let's actually go back. So this one is actually, we've got our date picker in focus. So what do? So what does it do? It automatically verifies that we have no date selected. Element visibility is visible, it's collapsed. We even do some positioning. Now, if we come back over here, and let's say we actually select a date, turn the overlay on, and you'll notice that it's recording it as we clicking through it. So if we come back up here, and actually go back to the date picker, we go to verifications, you'll notice that it dynamically pulls the value as soon as we lock on it. So 429 is already selected since that's the new value, so we can verify things in real time. We don't have to worry about going back, changing the values to match what we really want to be verifying. So we could also do a wait mechanism here, so we can wait until the selection is 429 before we move along. So let's say we have a button that you click on and it populates some of these with values. So you can actually do the wait mechanism like we did in Ajax here in Silverlight to make sure you wait for that to exist before you move on in your test. So Silverlight has a lot of the same challenges that Ajax does, just because things are happening and it's not kind of your traditional post-back model, that old HTML was. So with that richness, you need some of these wait verifications and wait mechanisms to help overcome some of these synchronization issues that you may have. So let's actually add this. And then we'll just do some other clicks around here. But one thing you'll notice as I'm going through here is that your recording doesn't change really. Yeah, you get some more translator nubs, but in terms of actually performing the actions and those getting recorded, it's the exact same. So let me close out of here, go back to the QA.